What if one emperor's red beard became a symbol of power, legend, and ambition? Meet Frederick Barbarossa. Born around 1122, Frederick I, known as Barbarossa Italian for Redbeard, rose to become Holy Roman Emperor in the 12th century. Charismatic, bold, and politically astute, he dreamed of restoring the glory of the Roman Empire under his rule. Picture this: a young Frederick watching the imperial coronation of Henry V in 1133 and realizing that destiny awaits him. See, it was no secret that the imperial title was more aspirational than Henry was. The actual power lay with the nobles, and the empire was a patchwork quilt of territories ruled by local lords. But Frederick had grand plans. He wanted to be more than a figurehead. He wanted to be a true emperor. As he grew older, Barbarossa honed his skills, forging strategic alliances, expanding his territory, and cementing his reputation as a fierce warrior. Then in 1152, opportunity knocked. Henry's nephew and heir apparent, the future emperor Frederick II, died unexpectedly, clearing the path for Frederick Barbarossa to claim the throne. Now, Frederick wasn't the eldest son, but he was Henry's favorite. As the saying goes, a king's son is never without a kingdom. And so Frederick I Barbarossa became the first member of the Hohenstaufen dynasty to rule the Holy Roman Empire. He got to work immediately. First on the agenda, winning the support of the German princes, who held considerable power. At the time, they were divided and suspicious of imperial authority, but Barbarossa was a master of persuasion. Through diplomacy, strategic marriages, and a bit of good old-fashioned campaigning, he gradually won them over. By the end of his reign, he had successfully extended his authority over most of northern and central Germany. But Frederick Barbarossa wasn't satisfied with just ruling Germany. He wanted to revive the concept of a unified Italian empire as well. So he set his sights on the North Italian city-states, which were fiercely independent and often at odds with each other. Once again, he employed a combination of diplomacy and force to bring them to heel. But this proved to be a much trickier task. The Italian nobles were more resistant to his authority, and the cities themselves enjoyed a great deal of autonomy. Despite these setbacks, Barbarossa persevered. He made significant strides in his campaign to unify Italy, and he laid the groundwork for a lasting imperial presence there. Throughout his reign, he faced opposition from an unlikely source: the papacy. There were three main reasons for this. First, Barbarossa's aggressive foreign policy put him at odds with the church. Remember, the papacy wielded considerable power in medieval Europe, and it wasn't afraid to flex its muscles. Second, there was a power struggle between the imperial and papal courts over who had the right to appoint bishops. Now, this was a big deal because the church was a major landowner and its leaders were influential in secular affairs. Finally, there was the issue of investiture, the ceremony in which a monarch formally invested a bishop with the symbols of his office. Barbarossa wanted to be the one to do the investing, not the Pope. It was a clash of wills between a monarch who wanted to assert his authority and a Pope who wanted to maintain the church's independence. Despite these challenges, Barbarossa's reign was a remarkable achievement. He stabilized the empire, codified laws, promoted trade, and set the stage for a cultural renaissance. He was also a champion of the common people, issuing decrees to protect their rights and property. But Frederick Barbarossa was not only a statesman. He was also a man of action, a warrior who led his troops into battle against enemies both near and far. One of his greatest ambitions was to recapture Jerusalem, which had fallen into Muslim hands in 1187, with the support of European Christendom. He assembled a massive army and set out on the Third Crusade. But in 1190, while crossing a river in what is now Turkey, Barbarossa and his army drowned. The emperor's sudden death shocked Europe. His army, demoralized and leaderless, soon disintegrated. For centuries, Germans believed Barbarossa was merely sleeping in a mountain, waiting to rise again when his people needed him most. Frederick Barbarossa, emperor, warrior, and legend, whose red beard blazed through history. If you love the tales of medieval rulers and their lasting legacies, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Until next time.